Hello everyone. So today I want to do a video that's covering basically just basic setups, like starter setups that you could do on breakers to help you clear Campanella normal. So this isn't going to be aimed towards any experienced players, this isn't going to be aimed towards people that speedrun or people that do extreme or seasonal on the daily. This is going to be mainly aimed towards those players that just got to Campanella and are trying to get their 4th slot. These are basically going to be relic setups that you can do on breakers. I will cover which breakers are good with which setup, but the reason I'm doing this in this format instead of a breaker specific video on each of them is because the overlaps on the builds of the relics you take are very similar, but all the skill stuff, all the stuff that of relics you want to be picking up on each breaker, I've already covered before in my extreme guides for those breakers, which all that information does overlap. And instead of making multiple videos that are just the exact same thing, I'm just going to refer you to go, depending on your breaker that you're watching, look at the setup from this guide to get your relics in order for Campanella normal, and then go look at that specific breakers video and fast forward to the part that's like about the skills and stuff. Although that will screw over analytics and stuff on YouTube, I don't care. It's whatever, go into it. The important parts about each breaker though is understanding if they're going to be a skill or a weapon based build. Now if I go back to the breakers page here, I will use Uzi to represent what relics we're putting on, but I will name which breaker these are basically going to be used for, and I'm going to do it in order. So to start with, Jungler. Jungler is a skill-based breaker, mainly. He might seem like a weapon-based breaker due to his kit, but he is very much a skill-based breaker. You want to be using a skill-related build, meaning in your runs, when you're playing a skill-based breaker, you want to ignore weapon-based options. So if you have upgrades that give you weapon power, but aren't directly increasing your DPS for a skill-based build, you're going to, you're going to ignore it completely, and just completely focus on your skill-based stuff. So for someone like Jungler, you can see here for Campanella Extreme, we run a very aggressive skill-based setup. Now you're not going to have access to stuff like Mercy. This is a relic that's hard to obtain. I know people that have played a lot and didn't play during the time where this was available in seasonal as a reward, still haven't unlocked this. So we're going to go under the assumption that you've just got to Campanella and you've got the basic stuff ready for you, or the relics that I'm going to mention are very easy to just go back to Galaxy 1 and farm them anyway. So for someone like Jungler, Sandman, and Bronzy, and Mountain, they all have ways... no. Scrap that part. For someone like Jungler, Sandman, Mountain, and Guillotine, that's it, sorry. These 4 breakers all have ways of arbitrarily increasing their critical chance via a skill or a weapon, meaning you don't need crit chance relics on these breakers. So what relics do we decide to run on these breakers as a skills-based build in Campanella normal to get our first clear without having to worry about our crit chance? Well, it's a skill-based build, so we're going to put in Extra and Power Chip. This relic is easy to obtain. This relic comes from your seasonal pass, and you get this at level 20, meaning by the time you get to Campanella, if you're a new player, you're likely level 20 and you will have this anyway. It just increases your skill power by 100%, meaning your skills are just going to be hitting much harder instantly. Going to our next slot, now I personally like to run Convergent Energy Skill Module, as this is just another 100% skill power, same as Exir and Power Chip, apart from it consumes 5% coins on held on skill use. But this can look a little bit daunting to newer players, so we're not going to suggest this as they seem to have a bad light to this, but I still recommend picking this up in your run. What we're going to run instead will end up being Defense Suit of Mercer's Attack. Now this can look daunting too, due to the fact it says Defense fixed at 0. Do not worry about this. Defense is a fake stat, and what I mean by that is you can raise it to 90%, you can raise it to the cap that is 90%, and you will still die to a singular hit from Protean Beast if you misplay. It is fake. We only use this stat as a way of increasing our defenses, as a way of increasing our attack power. So what I mean is, if you're playing a breaker that has access to something like 200% defense increase on, say, Jungler's Crossfire, then Merciless Suit of Retaliation is a great find within the run to boost this, but sometimes these skills don't overlap and they're not very useful. So in a generic state, guaranteeing the 100%, the 100 attack power this will end up giving you is far more value. So we choose to increase our attack power increase our skill power. And then for the third slot, personally, I much prefer to run bonus coin. Bonus coin is a way to look at it. Don't look at it as if, oh, this is not giving me damage, but more of it's giving you the opportunities to find more damage more often. So you're allowed to re-roll your shops more often. You've got 50 more coins to do so. You're allowed to buy that relic that usually you won't be able to afford because you've got 50 more coins to do so per planet. You can buy a weapon more earlier, like like for example, buy anything from the first boss. You kill the first boss, he gives you 180 coins. You go to the next planet, now you're on 230 coins because of bonus coin. It's really good. I cannot understate enough just how much DPS gains you can get from bonus coin from being able to buy these extra relics. It equates to more than just starting with an additional relic. It's the same reason why we take resource node really early into our seasonal tree. It's a fantastic option. But let's say you don't want to run this and you want to run something that gives you more on-demand damage, more immediate results, then you can choose to run something like Ace of Spades. Again, another 50% attack power, much like Mercer Suit. This will give you now the same value as running Mercy because you've got two of these comboed together. The 10 relic part's not that big of an issue. The likelihood is if you're playing Campanella normal, you're not going to reach 10 relics. Or if you do reach 10 relics, by that point anyway, you've already replaced how much damage value this is giving you, and you're not really going to notice the difference between having this active or not active at that point. But in the early parts of the runs, the early planets, the amount of damage this is giving you is fantastic. Now, if you're playing Sandman, an option you can take would be Critical Power Shield instead, as obviously he can shield himself on demand, allowing him to utilize this during his burst windows. It's a fantastic option. But I would just stick with this, and this would be a very standard base starting relic pool for skill-based breakers like Jungler, Sandman, Mountain, and Guillotine. Now, there's not going to be too much variation here. This is going to be the similar sort of setup for all the skill-based builds that I'm going to talk about. But if you're playing someone like Lightning, Draken, Rush, Elsa, and Quake, these all are still skill-based breakers and will run the exact same setup, apart from they have a way of doing multiple hits at the same time with their big burst abilities. So in that regard, what we do then is we drop one of these relics, so we drop either the attack power of Ace of Spades or Defense Suit of Mercer's attack, and we opt to throw in Special Charge Module. This will give us resets on our abilities more often, allowing us to burst more frequently. Very good unique setup. And again, for this option you can choose the Ace of Spades, you can choose this, or you can choose to put bonus coin in. That's completely up to you. I suggest trying all three out and just see which one you like to feel of more, but the results are going to be very similar. And that's basically it for the skill based builds. Now, you can technically run this on Shuri as well, and you can technically run this on Uzi as well, but because of your limited relic options and your limited relic pool, they have better times with weapons. Now, to cover the weapon-based builds, we're going to cover Liner first, as he is the only one of the medium breakers that work best with a weapon build, so we should talk about him first. Now, the similarities between this build will also work on Liner, Uzi, Shuri, Bronte if you want to go weapon as well. These are all fantastic options for them. And Toast to some degree, although Toast has a very unique setup that I can cover in a second. So to cover these breakers builds, go in or reset quickly. There we go. Now, because they're going weapon related, the first thing we want to do is put on Infinite Mag. Now, this is an easy relic to get. You can get this through your seasonal pass as well, or you can just go run Campanella, Symphonia for a while, and you'll eventually find it and get it replicated anyway. We run Infinite Mag so we can combo it with single shot magazine. Now, the beauty of this combo is you're never going to have to reload, so the ammo capacity being fixed at 1 is not that big of an issue. But also because this is a tier 1 relic, it's not going to appear in Campanella, so this is 100% weapon power you otherwise would not be able to see. Now, you could choose to put on something like Shock Reactor, which I think is up here. Shock Reactor, this is a 50% damage multiplier, meaning when this is active, your total damage value is going to be increased by 50%. And then you're also going to be getting an armor shred from this. This is going to be removing armor from the enemies. And if you don't want to take my word for it, it says it right here. Reduce the target's defense by 50%. This is really huge. This is massive DPS gains. really will notice when you can or can't shock something. On someone like Liner, who likes to run the Venom Rifle, which is an easy pickup within the run, you'll notice this greatly. On someone like Uzi and Shuri, you'll notice this pretty much, and the moment it's applied, you'll see the health difference dropping. It's a fantastic relic. Now, you don't have to run this, you can pick it up in the run. Like I said, it's a tier 2 relic. You can find it, but the RNG is there. But again, you can choose to run bonus coin. You can choose to run like Ace of Spades. You can choose to run something like Merciless Attack again for the 50% attack power gains, or you can choose to run high-powered rounds magazine, another tier 1 relic that doesn't appear in the pool, but will give you 50% weapon power. Very useful. This is great options. All of these work in a weapon build for someone like Liner, Uzi, Bronzy, Shuri, and even to some degree Elsa, but Elsa will run better with a skill-based build. So keep those in mind. So now, let's say you're playing someone like Toast. Like, Toast is unique in a sense because he can hurt himself with his weapons, which allow you to do a little bit more riskier options if you wished. So there's a safe option that you can do, which you won't have this relic, so I'm not going to talk about that setup. But you can do something like this. You can go critical defender, you can go attack defender, and then you can take for your tier 3 option if you wish to, something like extra rounds. Now, what this is going to let you do is when you hurt yourself with your flamethrower or venom caster, you'll be stacking these 2 relics. It's really good for someone like Toast to be able to utilize this. This will give you 200 attack power. Now, of course, you're going to get to low health eventually, but through the seasonal upgrade tree, you can mitigate this, as well as just making sure not to kill yourself with the damage. Also helps. But this will allow Toast to pretty much early on into the runs have more immediate damage, which he kind of needs. Now, you do have options to also, instead of running extra rounds, to instead of run status effect target, but the likelihood is you won't have this unlocked. So we're just going to talk about extra rounds. This is Toast's kind of like unique start. He's the only real breaker that can utilize this. You can do this on stuff like Rush, Quake, and Mountain, but like I said previously, they get more immediate damage via their skill-based builds and will get better results from those relics I previously mentioned. But yeah, that's kind of it, really. Like, I've covered pretty much all the build options you can have. These will be the best builds in terms of helping your earliest starts on your breakers, and I hope this video has been helpful. Again, if you want to know skills and what relics to pick up in your run and why, I highly recommend going to go check the specific breaker that you're inquiring about in my channel. Like, those guides are all still very, very useful for Campanella normal, and I've even done some videos where I've used those builds running through Campanella normal, just speedrunning, to really give you an idea of what the damage potential of those breakers are. I hope this helped. Please like, comment, subscribe. Leave any questions below. I'll try and answer as soon as I can. If not, leave a question over at the ANVIL Discord. Easy to find, and you will, like, I'm a moderator there, I'll reply if you tag me at some point. So, yeah. Thank you very much. I'll catch you in the next one.